but in which, for one reason or another, we've historically tended to hit below our weight. Take the example of bioscience. Here in New York has successfully attracted large corporate headquarters and incredible basic research, but has been much less successful in retaining the startup businesses that have spun out of our academic medical centers. To address this challenge, we're in the process of creating nearly 2 million square feet of new commercial wet lab space, including the first 300,000 square feet at the Alexandria Center for Life Sciences on Manhattan's West Side, which opened just a year ago and today is essentially full. More space on the East Side and at another facility in Brooklyn is set to get underway in the coming months, and we expect this new space to create significant momentum for this sector in the months and years ahead. Which leads us to the final prong of our economic transformation agenda for New York City, namely promoting entrepreneurship generally, regardless of sector. The reason that we're agnostic as to industry grows from our belief that cities and states and governments more generally traditionally do a very poor job of picking winners and losers. In fact, most of the time when governments think that they're chasing the next big thing, the truth is that they're chasing the last big thing, which is why we're working so hard to put the tools for discovering what the next big thing is in the hands of our most valuable resource, our smart and talented workforce. To achieve this goal, our efforts truly run the gamut. From a series of training programs that we've developed in partnership with SUNY's Levin Institute, the Kaufman Foundation, and the city's Department of Small Business Services that have attracted literally thousands of entrepreneurs, to an early stage investment fund that has leveraged $3 million in city funding with $19 million in private funding from First Mark Capital and has already closed several transactions, to affordable real estate that's now available through a growing network of incubators that has the capacity to host more than 1,000 businesses in the next 3 years. In fact, just this month, we opened our first incubator in the Bronx, with plans for the opening of a tech-focused incubator in Dumbo to follow in the coming weeks, and more facilities expected thereafter. All exciting and, I believe, necessary steps towards ensuring that our city is ready to compete in an increasingly crowded field. But as critical as these steps have been, I do think it's fair to ask, are they sufficient? Sufficient to allow us to achieve our ambitious goal of securing for the city the title of World Capital of Innovation in the 21st century? Maybe, but likely not. Which is why, back in 2008, following the collapse of Lehman Brothers, we launched a new and somewhat unorthodox initiative that we labeled our Game Changers exercise. The premise behind this exercise was deceptively simple. Find as many people as we could from a wide array of backgrounds, academics, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and business and community leaders, and ask them one simple question. Namely, if they were given a magic wand and could use it to change one thing about New York City that they believed would have the most profound impact on our underlying economy, what would it be? Amazingly, after discussions with over 300 individuals, we started to hear a very consistent message. Specifically, what we heard was the following. Notwithstanding the fact that we have excellent institutions of higher learning specializing in engineering and applied sciences here in New York City, given the fact that these types of institutions have played such a critical role in building the great centers of innovation in the world today, given the size of our city's economy, at the heart of a metropolitan region that has a gross metropolitan product that's roughly equal to the GDP of India, and given the scope of our ambition to be the global innovation capital, the bottom line is that we have simply not been producing enough talent or research at sufficient scale in recent years. And so we decided to issue a challenge to the academic community both here in New York and outside. Our challenge offered the following trade. If an institution or institutions were willing to make a significant incremental investment in an existing facility or create a brand new facility somewhere in the 5 boroughs, we would help that facility by offering technical assistance, by offering free land, and by offering seed capital in an amount up to $100 million. And the results, incredibly promising, with 17 top institutions from around the world submitting proposals in our final round. And just last month, less than a year after our competition was launched, we selected our first, and hopefully not our last, team of winners. The winning proposal, submitted by Cornell and the Technion Israel Institute of Technology, calls for the creation of a major new applied science and engineering campus on Roosevelt Island in the East River. This new campus will bring together not just 2 schools with world-class achievements in science, but 2 schools with world-class achievements in business creation. Just look at Cornell, whose alumni in only the last 5 years have created over 2,600 companies, employing some 34,000 people. Or Technion, which sits today at the heart of a 4,000 business cluster in Israel that has attracted the likes of Google, Yahoo, and Apple, and is generally considered one of the most dynamic on the planet. When completed, the new Cornell Technion campus will encompass 2 million square feet of space, representing billions of dollars in investment and accommodating 2,000 students, nearly doubling the number of full-time graduate engineering students now in New York City. The school's fields of study will be organized around pressing challenges facing the city, but also the nation and the earth, with initial areas of focus to include connective media, healthier life, and the built environment. As part of their new facility, Cornell and Technion, which are to start their program in leased space this fall, have further agreed to establish a $150 million fund for New York City-based startups. All told, over the next several decades, the project is forecast to create 8,000 direct permanent jobs, 20,000 construction jobs, and literally hundreds of new businesses. In total, over $23 billion in nominal economic activity. A phenomenal return on investment. This is a critical time in America's history, a time of stark choices during which either we as a nation can continue to look back longingly at a reality that once was, or we can accept the reality of the world in which we live and prepare ourselves aggressively